What's going on, guys? Hope you guys are having a good day or night whenever you're watching this. Making a video on the Bring a Trailer car auctions today. I have looked at this site once before, I think. I know I usually do cars and bids, but I'm actually going to be recording this a little bit in advance, so you guys will see this a little bit after I make it, because I'm going to be on vacation, but I still wanted to put out a car auction video. So I thought it would be a good opportunity to take a look at this site. I just did a, scroll through some pretty cool cars on here. Much more expensive than cars and bids, so I think it should be fun. There's a chance it has to get split into two parts, but that's only if it's really long. But typical disclaimer before I get started that none of this is financial, legal, or tax advice. This is just for entertainment, so take everything I say with a grain of salt. Now, starting off, we have a 2019 Bugatti Chiron, I believe is how it's pronounced. I always mess it up, but currently at $3 million, and it ends in 2 hours. $3 million is insane. But these things are pretty nuts cars. I think it's $3 mil new. Okay, it says $3.1 million new. So, they're kind of getting what they paid for it. These things are insane though, like 16-cylinder engine, 1500 horsepower, 0 to 60 in like 2.5 seconds, maybe less than 2.5 seconds, I think. This came after the Bugatti Veyron. I think they started making it in 2016. And it was named after a Bugatti driver who I don't think is alive anymore, but his name was Louis Chiron. But it's kind of funny, like these things were popping even before they came out, just because of the hype of the previous car. You had to pay like a $200,000 deposit just to get one of these, just for the chance to be able to buy one of these. And I think they sold out very quickly. So kind of nuts, but yeah, 1,479 horsepower. They're supposedly, because they stopped making this in October of last year, I think, but they're supposedly going to be unveiling the new Bugatti, whatever is replacing this. That's supposedly going to come out in 2024, and it's going to have a hybrid drivetrain, like some of the newer, like Ferraris and such. I think they're taking it from a company called Rimac. I'm not sure how you say their name, but should be really cool. I did sort the auctions by 1985 and newer. They get a lot of like really old cars on here, but it's kind of older than I know about, and I'm not that interested in them, so I filtered them out because there's already just like so many auctions. 478, even with me filtering those out, so pretty insane. TVR, you don't really see these guys a lot. They're a British company. I think they're like going through a very tough financial period for the company. I don't think they've made a car in a while, but supposedly they're coming back and making a car called the Griffith, but we'll see what happens. I think it's a neat looking car. I'm not a huge fan of it, but it is what it is. Got an 06 M3 comp. 6-speed. Does it say manual? Doesn't say. Okay. Looks pretty nice, honestly. I feel like they make the pictures lower resolution on cars, on Bring a Trailer, which is kind of annoying, but I guess if you're watching this on like a smaller screen, it'll look a lot nicer than it does on my screen, because I have a 1440p monitor. But this is going for $17,000, 2.5 hours left, so got a 2013 Camaro, nothing crazy there. Jaguar F-Type, F-150 Raptor, Those are pretty nice cars, or trucks, I should say. Got a M5 from '06. Got a 2014 Audi S5 Coupe. Currently going for $25K with 2.5 hours left. The M5 is only going for 16.5 with 2.5 hours left. Got a '04 Porsche 911 Turbo Cabriolet going for $53,000 with 2 hours and 40 minutes left. It does seem like they do a better job of timing their auctions. It seems like stuff is ending on the weekend, which I think is better than Cars and Bits approach, but that's just me. These things are so ugly to me. The Chrysler Crossfire, likely why it's going for 8K instead of more than that, but also got a Z4M from '06 going for $31,000. That's quite a bit. Not really a fan of these, just not a fan of the Z's in general, but that's just me. Got an old Alfa Romeo. Got an S600 Mercedes-Benz. It's a little too old for my taste, honestly. Got an Audi TT. Got a Mercedes-Benz 300E. These things are really old, wow. It's going for $6 grand. This is a really cool looking car. The '08 Honda S2000. And it's a CR designation, which stands for Club Racing. I think it's pretty much just a similar, I think it's the same as the normal S2000, just with like some cosmetic upgrades. I don't think it's any more powerful, which is kind of dumb, but it's going for $47,000. 3 hours left. That's kind of insane. I guess it only has 10K miles, which is pretty low. But it is a very nice looking car. I love the black. I love the arrow that they added, or I guess they came with the car if it's a Club Racing trim, but they do kind of skimp out on the interior stuff. Like, you don't have leather seats because they wanted to like make it race oriented, which I feel like kind of sucks for longevity, but 10K miles is a steal for an '08 S2000. Got a Maserati Gran Turismo MC. Not a huge fan of Maserati. I think they're kind of overpriced for the quality that you're getting, but 911 Carrera. Got a '99 Mercedes-Benz E55 AMG. Doug reviewed one of these. I think it might have been a 2000, but supposedly one of his like favorite sedans ever, which is kind of crazy. I think he owned one back in the day, or at some point in the distant past. But I think it's okay looking. I hate the wheels. I think the front is okay. It definitely like looks like an older car, but I think it's tough for people that are getting into the car space and looking at cars from before they were born. I think there's like a group of cars that objectively like look good to everyone, like the RX-7, S2000, that type of stuff. And then there's ones that like some of these people grew up with, or that like were much more commonplace when they were growing up, and so it's easier for people to love them even if they're not like aesthetically pleasing cars, and I think this falls into that category. Got a Mustang, Porsche 928, got an Audi A8L. The L just means long wheelbase. We've seen that before on BMW and Range Rovers on Cars and Bits. Got a John Cooper Works. I do think it'd be cool to look at motorcycles. I don't know if there's a website dedicated to them, like Cycle Trader or something. Maybe motorcycles are pretty neat. I don't know a ton about them, but it would be a cool video. Also not a fan of these SLK 350s. I think they just don't look the best, like proportionally. I think they look a little odd. But it's kind of the same issue I have with the BMW Zs. Should open a new tab because now it's going to need to reload that entire auction page. There we go. Got an old Audi Quattro A4, Chevy Impala, Suzuki. Every once in a while you'll see an old Suzuki out on the road. It's kind of funny. They do not make those anymore. Porsche 944 Turbo. This actually looks pretty clean. I know people aren't a huge fan of these. It's only going for 12 grand with 4.5 hours left, but I think they look cool. It's not the traditional Porsche experience, but I think it's a nice looking car objectively. He's got a ton of paperwork, which is pretty cool. Got a Audi R8 here, Spider. Not a huge fan of the Spider, but this is just a really cool car. Looks like they debadged it. I do think the black looks really good on the R8. It's got 43,000 miles. I would personally opt for the hardtop on the R8, but very nice car. We got a Miata race car. It's at $22,000, $30,000. It just jumped as I clicked on it. $30,000 with 4.5 hours left. That is kind of neat. Looks like they blacked out the headlights. Got a ton of work done to it, and obviously like a lot of decals on the car. Let's see what it says. Miata cage, roll cage, racing seats, multi-point harness, Momo steering wheel. Inline 4 is noted to have been modified by Rossini Racing Products. 5-speed manual, driver cooling, fire suppression, dyno exhaust system, data acquisition module, transponder, auxiliary gauges. It is cool looking. I wonder if it's even road legal anymore because they've done all this to it. I wish they could talk about how many a dynameter readout can be viewed in the gallery. They can never say how many horsepower it does because they I guess don't want to commit to, let's see, that's that's at engine RPM. That's pretty low horsepower, keep it a buck. Yeah, cool nonetheless. Got an old 7 Series, got a Range Rover. Got an old Beetle. I hate these things. Got a very green Dodge Challenger SRT Hellcat. I've said it before, I think these things are going to become collector's items pretty quick. $77,000 with a little under 5 hours left. I just think there's going to be nothing comparable now that everyone's stopping the production of their all gasoline muscle cars. And they're just obviously insanely fast. But not a fan of the green. S7 Prestige. Prestige is just their highest trim. I think it goes Premium, Premium Plus, and then Prestige. I think that's the tiers. I don't know if they still do it like that, or if that was just at one point in time, but very luxurious. Got a 01 M3, pretty clean looking, 30k miles, going for 20 grand with 5 hours left. Looks to be in very good shape. Yeah, I like it. Obviously, the dated interior is something that you gotta deal with. 333 horsepower, 6-speed manual. We got a Ferrari Mondial. It's a pretty cool car. I think that, so this one looks like a convertible, the cabriolet version, but I think this was actually the last, like, rear-engined Ferrari that you could get that actually came with a 2+2 seating, which is a pretty cool fact. Obviously, this is very old, 1989, but there's, like, only 16,000 miles on it, which is a pretty good deal. Going for 35 grand with 5 hours left. I'm not the biggest fan of how these look. I just think it's cool from, like, a history perspective, but got a GT500. This thing looks beefy. I don't actually know what these go for new, but I know they're beasts. I think for me, the Mustang is just a little too worn out of a silhouette for me to really be in love with it. You know, you see them too much because they've have so many, like, entry-level models, but you still gotta respect it. How many miles did it say it had? Only 2,100 miles. Wow. Going for $80,000 with a day left. Pretty insane. Got a Cadillac CTS-V, got a Ducati Street Fighter. It's a crazy looking bike. We got what looks like a Hertz Racing Camaro here or something. I assume that's like Hertz, the rental car company. Yeah, that's interesting. It is in their colors. It's the only thing that, you know, makes me confident of that. Used as a prototype for the Hertz Hendrick Motorsports Edition package, which celebrated a partnership between Hertz and number 24 Hendrick Motorsports NASCAR Cup Series team driven by William Byron. That's a mouthful. $58,000 with 1 day left. Sorry if you guys can hear my computer going ballistic in the background. We got a 1993 240SX here, also known as the S13. This is a convertible. This replaced the 200SX or the S12. I think in 89 or 90, one of those years. But this is actually just the North American version of the Nissan 180SX, which was sold only in Japan. I think previously I might have misspoken about that in another video, but 70,000 miles. I honestly think these cars look, it sounds kind of mean to say, but significantly worse with the soft top. But these cars people love a lot. They're big for drifting. Related to the Silvia as well. Lexus LS, got a Buick Grand National, NASCAR race car, got a Tacoma, Range Rover Sport, 3 Series, Land Rover, got a Land Cruiser with one of those like roof pop-up tents, which is pretty cool. Got a Honda motorcycle in its factory crate. That's pretty insane. Wonder if it still runs, if it's literally never been touched for 20 years, but got an ambulance. That's insane. Old G-Wagon, Ford Bronco Badlands, Eddie Bauer Ford Bronco, C4 Roadster, 3 Series convertible, 5 Series. Just scrolling, looking for some more unique stuff because I know there's a lot on here, guys. Got a 2012 911 Carrera S Cabriolet. Another Carrera Cabriolet. Ford Thunderbird NASCAR race car. Only $15,000. You could be the proud owner. Got a 10-mile 2020 Ford Mustang Shelby GT350R Heritage Edition. That is a cool looking colorway. Sorry. Going for $105,000. Wow. That's nuts. I mean, I guess it has 10 miles. It's 4 years old, but this is going for more than the GT500. I don't know how the Mustang trims work. Is a 350R more desirable than just a normal GT500? Okay, wow, this is quite a row of cars here. Wow, where do we start? We can go Carrera. This is like a grail car for a lot of car people. Doug DeMuro just bought one of these. If you guys follow him, it is also the car that Paul Walker died in, unfortunately. It's referred to as like one of the more deadly like sports cars because it lacks some like modern safety features, but it was insanely powerful, like over 600 horsepower, which for a car that's almost 20 years old now, like, is pretty nuts. But they only made it for a couple years. I think 3 model years, 04 through 06. It is a very neat looking car. This one has 7,000 miles. You can see it's a coveted car because it's going for $1.16 million. I love that leather. The shifter is actually up there. That's kind of interesting. Number 668. Very cool looking car. Obviously rear engine. V10. 605 horsepower. Wow. It's just an insanely cool car. Then we have the 2022 Ford GT Mark II. A lot of history behind the Ford GT. This is this one I think came out 2019 maybe. The original Mark II though, that's what beat Ferrari in the Le Mans after they refused to work with Ford and like insulted Ford's owner at the time. That's what the Ford Ferrari movie's about. I think this is a track-only car, which is kind of insane because it's like a $1.2 million car. Currently at $900,000, ending in 2 days. Very expensive car that which you can't drive on normal streets, but only 14 miles on it. Rated at 700 horsepower. That's nuts. It is a very cool looking car. I love the way this car looks. I mean, look at that. This guy just has it in front of his house or whatever that is. It does have a passenger seat, but I'm pretty sure this thing is not road legal. Okay, this car does not have a title as intended for track use only. It is being sold on a bill of sale. Yeah, that's insane. Got a Ferrari 488 Challenge Evo. I do love the Ferrari 488 silhouette. I'm not familiar with the Challenge Evo, but I think it might just be like a race car version. Yeah, it's got a lot of racing stuff on it. It has to be for racing. Okay, it was created in 2017 to compete in Ferrari's single-make racing series. Okay. I typically don't love cars that have a ton of decals all over them, but obviously, like, racing cars are an exception. Going for $140,000 with 2 days left. That is a very neat row of cars right there. Let's see what else we got. Got a E63S wagon AMG. This, you know, if you're into wagons, which I'm not, you would definitely love this car. Looks like it's been debadged mostly. Just, I don't know, something about the silhouette of wagons, but it's going for $50,000, 2 days left. This Dodge Stealth looks pretty cool. I don't know a ton about them. 85,000 miles, 1991 Dodge Stealth ES, going for $3,700 with 2 days left. These cars have an interesting story. The Eagle Talon. This was a joint venture between Chrysler and Mitsubishi. On the inside, I actually think this is the same exact. I should say the engine and all that stuff is the same exact internals as the Mitsubishi Eclipse, and there's one other. Might be like a Plymouth Laser or something like that, but kind of interesting. Reminds me in a lot of ways of the Subaru BRZ, Scion FRS, Toyota 86 kind of story, where they made a bunch of their own, but they're the same on the inside, but it's not an ugly looking car. It's interesting that they branded it under the Eagle Talon, but going for $12,250 in 2 days left. Got another S2000. This one is supposedly turbocharged. You can see the pipes sticking out of the hood there. That looks pretty nuts. It badged it. I do like the color scheme here with the yellow with the black accents all over the car. 72,000 miles. A hood exit exhaust system. See under the hood, see what it looks like. It's going for $13,000 with 2 days left, so not a lot for how much work probably went into this. Yeah, I mean, that thing looks beefy. I do learn more about like the modification space. I feel like I don't understand enough as I'd like to about what does what when you put it in a car. That's pretty cool. I don't know what the GTH is. This is a very nice 1987 Carrera. Going for $50,000, 2 days left. I love the red. The ducktail thing always looked funny to me. Previously sold on Bring a Trailer in December of 2023. Due to circumstances outside of the winner's control, they are unable to continue ownership and co-signed the selling dealer to assist in reselling the car. This was not due to any fault with the vehicle, and the winner's account has not been restricted. Interesting. Very bare bones interior, but this is 1987 we're talking about. Cayenne GTS. Got an AMG GTS. It's a pretty sick looking car. We've definitely looked at these before. That is a crazy background in the photo. It's gone for $68,000, ending in 2 days. 11K miles on this. Nice leather on the inside. Automatic, obviously. 500 horsepower V8. There does seem to be a lot more like normal cars on here, if that makes sense. I say that as I pull up this monstrosity here, but normal cars compared to cars and bids, because I've already filtered out a bunch of stuff. It seems like there's still a lot of relatively middle of the road cars. Got an SL63 AMG in here. $38,000, 2 days left. Got a Demon, SRT Demon going for $144,000. 2 days left. 1,824 out of approximately 3,300 examples built, producing up to 1,025 horsepower. Just insane. Got a GT3 here going for $86,000. This thing's very unique as well. There's like a British billionaire. I think his last name is Ineos, but he created a chemical and materials company that was like a multi-billion-dollar company now, and I think he started this as like a pet project, but they're like 70K new. I think it's like kind of an in-between of like a Jeep Bronco and a Range Rover G-Wagon. Going for 50K with 2 days left. Only 180 miles on this. It is very interesting. Here we go. A product of Ineos Automotive, a division of British chemical conglomerate Ineos. Okay. It is interesting color. I don't think I like it. It's got some like roof-mounted controls, which is kind of funny. Reminds you of like an airplane. That is a very weird looking like control panel. It very much looks like a plane. Also, is it automatic and manual? What the heck? That's so weird. It has a BMW B58 engine. That's funny. Got a couple of gorgeous Porsches here. Take a look at this Mexico Blue 2018 GT3. $212,000 with 2 days left. 9,000 miles, paint to sample Mexico blue. Pretty sure their paint to sample option is like an insanely expensive option, but I guess if you're buying a car that's this expensive, you're not worried about that. Just an amazing car. I need to like drive a Porsche just to see what it feels like. 500 horsepower. Okay, these pictures are full resolution. If I go down to the bottom, I should remember that. Yeah, I mean this car is just a piece of art. I love it. I love it. Got a Turbo S, which in comparison to this is still a pretty cool car. 2022. It's got 3,000 miles. Going for $225,000 with 2 days left. Actually, a little bit more than the GT3 we just saw. Let's scroll down. I do think it doesn't quite look as good in the front as the GT3, but it's still a phenomenal looking car. These cars make me sad when I look at them because I'll probably never be able to afford them. But 911 Carrera, old Lexus. Got a C300 in an interesting color there. Got a Supra A91 MT edition. I'm not too familiar with what that even means. I didn't know they had a special edition Supra. What's it say? 150 miles. What are the features of this special edition? Maybe the color. It looks like it has nice seats too. Limited to 500 units produced. What does that mean? I don't know what features this comes with as a... Oh, it added a GR branded strut tower brace. That's it. There's got to be more than that. $60,000 car. Looks pretty normal, honestly. So, I don't know. Nice looking car, though. You guys know I love these. Got a Ferrari Testarossa. Super interesting car here. Going for $82,000 with 3 days left. I actually think this is a very cool looking Ferrari. It is, of course, you know, the rear mid-engine build, you know, where the engine's behind the seats, but before the rear axle. A lot of Ferraris are like that. This one's 46,000 miles. A single left pillar mounted flying mirror, yet only has a mirror on this one side, which is super unique. But I think this car was also on the TV show Miami Vice, if you guys have seen that. What else? A lot of people hate these, I think they're called strakes on the side. They say it looks like a cheese grater, which I would kind of agree. It had to do with, like, they had some cooling issues and they actually ended up, like, widening the car. But I don't know. I think it's still overall a cool looking car. Scroll down and look at the windows here. Pop-up headlights, of course. I think the rear looks pretty cool still. Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan. Sorry, I'm having to pause the recording every once in a while if my computer gets too overheated so that it can cool back down and the fans turn off, but got an RS6 Avant here. I've seen a couple of these on Cars and Bids. Grail car for a lot of car people who are into the wagons. I do think they look very clean. I like them more than I like the Mercedes wagons, but that's just a kind of personal preference. Obviously, there's much to love about the practicality of these things, and they're still just insanely fast. But I think they look very clean as well. Here we got an RX-8. I feel like we don't actually see a lot of these, which is kind of interesting because they made a ton of them. Going for $1,900 with 3 days left. We have an RX-8 R3. I actually like these. When I first was like looking at cars to get like as my first car back in the day, I ended up getting an old Mazda 3, but these would come up a lot and I thought they looked really cool. It's just these have the rotary Winkle engine, which is very unreliable and has a lot of other issues. This is obviously the successor to the Mazda RX-7, which was huge as well. Kept the rotary engine in it from that, and they made these for a while, I think like 03 to 2012 maybe. And then I think sales got a little weak. I think they had some emissions issues in Europe, and they ended up ending the RX-8 and didn't replace it with anything. But I think the R3 model was just like suspension, tire, wheel. I think it gave it this little splitter and added the rear spoiler, all as like factory parts. But I think I'm gonna take a break here, guys. We're only about halfway through the auctions, I think, because we're at 3 days and it goes up to 7. So stay tuned for a part 2. I'm gonna drop it like probably 2 days after this video comes out, maybe 3. But appreciate you guys, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.